everyone and welcome to today's video. So today I'm doing a full face of makeup using my favourite drugstore brands and my favourite drugstore makeup items. So stick around to see how I created this look and exactly what products I used. So to start off this full face of my favourite drugstore makeup, I'm going to be going in first with a primer. And I have got this Revolution Star primer, and this is their water gel primer with anise extract. This primer is, in my opinion, so amazing. It is my favourite primer, I think, of all time. It does come out blue, but I just find it just melts into the skin so easily. And it does leave my skin feeling really hydrated, and I really do notice it when I've got foundation on, just how hydrated my skin does feel underneath. The only thing is it has got a bit of that aniseed fragrance from the anise, so almost like a really mild licorice fragrance. So if you are really opposed to that fragrance, then maybe this wouldn't be the primer for you, but in terms of how it works on the skin, I think it's really, really incredible. Now that my primer is all done and nicely melted into my skin, the next step, of course, is to move on to my foundation. And my favourite drugstore foundation is just this one here from Primark, quite surprisingly. So this is the PS My Perfect Colour Matte Foundation. This one is in their natural medium coverage, and this is in the shade Porcelain. So this is the lightest shade that they do. So it's just your standard pump. You don't actually need loads, bearing in mind it is just a medium coverage foundation. Again, this does have a bit of a weird fragrance. I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but I think as time's gone on with me using it, I've just become used to it, really. And I find that this matte one just works really nicely with that primer. There are other foundations that Primark maybe do, so definitely let me know if you've tried out any of theirs and if you've got any recommendations. And even though the Primark foundation is just a medium coverage, I find it just sits really, really nicely on my skin, and it does just blend in really effortlessly and seamlessly. So next up, of course, is to move on to my concealer, and my favourite drugstore concealer is this MUA Makeup Academy Pro Base Full Coverage Concealer, and this is in the shade 100. So it is just a white concealer. This is actually the second time I've purchased this because I obviously used up the other one, and I like this white one, A, because I am pretty pale, but B, I find it really does help to brighten up my under eye, and I do sometimes have dark circles, and I find that this just lifts the whole under eye. This again I think is only a few pounds. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but I will pop everything in the description if you want to obviously check it out and see the product yourself. Again, just taking my sponge and then I'll just get that all blended in. Again, this does just blend in really effortlessly, and it doesn't leave like a cakey finish or anything. It does leave a nice matte finish, which just goes nicely with that foundation. And that is the concealer all done. So next step in my makeup routine is my powder, and my favourite powder that I don't know why it took me so long to purchase after wanting it for the longest time is this Revolution Banana Light powder. And I feel like I've used this about a million times, but still hardly any has gone from the actual tub. I think this cost about £6, and I was eyeing it up, like I said, for the longest time, and I don't know, then just eventually took the plunge and decided to buy it. You know what it's like when you're trying to find something new and it's a bit like, shall I get it, shall I not get it? But I did, and I'm so glad that I did, because I absolutely love this setting powder. I tend to just pop a bit in the cap of the actual bottle itself, because otherwise I just make too much mess. And then there's kind of two options for this. You could either use like your beauty sponge to pop it on your under eye, but I tend to just use a brush because I find then I can just apply it and kind of brush it around in one. So starting off just on my under eye, and then same for the other one. And this actually does hold my makeup in place literally all day. So I just pop it all over, and then by the time I've done it everywhere, it's time to go back and actually brush it away. Again, I find it just blends in really seamlessly, and you get that really nice like powder finish that I really like on makeup, but just using a product that's probably like a fraction of the price of some other powders. So I just really love how that makes my skin just look and feel, and as I said, it just holds my foundation and my concealer in place just all day. So next step is just to move on to my brows. I kind of alternate between penciling them in or just going with like a brown mascara, but I tend to edge more towards the brown mascara because I just find they just look a bit more natural, and I just like the finish and effect the brown mascara gives. So I've actually got this one here. This is the Brow Define Tinted Brow Mascara with Fibre from MUA Makeup Academy, and again, this is the second time that I've purchased this because I have already used one of them up. And I've got this in the shade dark brown, and it's just got this really tiny, almost like a tiny mascara wand on the end, and I don't know if you can see, it's got those like little bits of fibre in, which I find again just help to make the brow look natural but like full at the same time. What I like about this brow mascara as well is that it holds my brows in place. It's kind of like a brow setter and like brow tint all in one. And then the next step on this full face of drugstore makeup is to do my like bronzer and contour. So I've actually got this massive set here from e.l.f. This is their Sweet Temptation palette. First layer is all of these face powders, and then the second layer is all of these eyeshadows, but I'm just interested in the face powders for this part of the look. And the two I kind of tend to gravitate to in this palette are these lighter two here, so they're the ones that I'm going to use today. And I really like the formula in this e.l.f. palette. I don't really tend to use an awful lot of e.l.f. makeup, not for any particular reason, just it's kind of like a brand that I don't know, sometimes like forget about. So I do really love the face powders in this palette though, because I don't like to go for a look that's like overly bronzed. I do like to keep it looking quite natural. So I just pop a little bit of this on my forehead, and then I just move on to my cheeks. I find that with these e.l.f. ones, you just get a nice like natural little glow without looking too overly bronzed. I mean, I am quite fair skinned, so I don't want to be applying like tons of really dark bronzer because it just won't look natural. There we go, just like a natural nice looking glow from this e.l.f. bronzer palette. And then of course the next step in this makeup look is to do the blush, and I've actually got another product from Revolution, which I have to say is probably my favourite drugstore brand out of them all. And it is this palette here. This is the Sugar and Spice palette, which has got these 6 blushes and then these 2 highlighters here. I really like this blush here. I think this is the one I probably had the most use out of. It's like a nice kind of rosy pink glow that isn't too much. Again, with me being fair skinned, I don't want to go too hard with the blush and end up looking like I'm having a hot flush or just looking a bit like a clown. So that's the one I'm going to be using. And I always do like a less is more approach with blush. I'd rather pop a little bit on and then build it up than put too much on and then I can't take it off. So just popping that where I've had the bronzer and then bringing it all the way up to my temple. Hope you can see just a nice little rosy glow without being too much or too bright. Again, I really like the formula in this Revolution palette, and again, this was only a few pounds, probably on sale, because I really hate to pay full price for anything if I don't have to. And then lastly, just sort of face powder wise, I'm going to be going in with my highlighter, and I've actually got this Glocomotion Extreme Ice highlighter from W7, and it looks like this, just a nice classic highlight colour. And I actually got this from Home Bargains for 79p, and when I first tried it I thought, I mean, how good is it going to be for 79p? But I actually love this highlighter. Aside from being like my favourite drugstore highlighter that I have, I think it's probably my go-to highlight out of all of the ones I own anyway. It is quite a subtle glow. I don't want to look like Tin Man. And again, I feel like I've used this so many times, it doesn't even feel like I've made barely a dent in this as well. So hope you can see I've got a really, really nice glow, and you can probably see why this is my favourite drugstore highlighter. And now just moving on to probably my favourite part of any makeup look, it is of course the eyes. So I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. If you've seen my eyeshadow palette collection video, you will know, and I think if anything my collection's only just grown since then. But I picked, I would say, one of my favourite drugstore palettes because I just have too many that are favourites, and it is actually this I Heart Revolution Unicorn Hearts palette, and this is what the shades look like. So it hasn't got a mirror, which is like the only downfall I think in it. And I really love the purples in this palette. You can see it's a right mess where I have used it a lot. There's just something about the formula in this I Heart Revolution palette that I just really love and just really get on well with. The shimmers are really buttery. In fact, I think it mostly is shimmers to be honest, but I really like the colour story, and this is definitely one of my like top palettes that I have. I'm just going to go in first with this shade here. So they don't have like shade names or anything, or even like numbers. So you can see how pigmented that shade is. It's so sparkly and shimmery and just lays down so nicely. Like this was one bit on my makeup brush. I've not even gone in for like a second dip yet. So super happy with that. And the second shade I'm going to be going in with is this slightly darker shade here. This again is just a really lovely purple, as you can tell. So just a slightly different tone to that first shade, but still so pretty. And then lastly, just on the upper part of my lid, I'm going to be just placing a little bit of this dark purple here just to add a bit more depth to the eyeshadow. This is probably like my go-to look with this palette. These three shades, they've definitely got the most use out of all of the shades in this palette. And then lastly, just back in with a small brush just to do the under eye. So starting with that dark purple just on the very outer part, and then just getting lighter as I go in towards the centre of my eye. Another thing actually I really, really like about this palette is, despite the fact that a lot of these shades are really shimmery, the fallout isn't too bad. And then we have the eyeshadow. So next up is to do my eyeliner, and I'm just doing a pencil eyeliner in my waterline. I'm not bothering with the liquid liner because I feel like this purple just needs to like speak for itself. So I've actually got this eyeliner pencil from Primark, and this actually came in a pack of 2 for £1, and you also get a really good eyeliner sharpener in it as well. So I have got the 2-pack of the black ones, and I've also got a 2-pack where you get a nude one and a white one, and they're equally as good. I used to like exclusively use the Rimmel eyeliner pencil, which I think even that is only about £3 or £4. I mean, maybe it's gone up now because of inflation, but it was always like a cheaper eyeliner. But ever since I started using this one, I just much prefer it. For like a cheap pencil as well, it is really pigmented. My favourite drugstore mascara is also from Primark, and it is their $1 Billion Lashes Mascara. This is the instant volume and curled lashes and gives you 16+ hours of wear. So it has got quite a big wand, and it is curled, if you can kind of see there. And it is one of those like plasticky ones rather than like the ones that feel a bit fibrous. There's just something about this Primark one that is excellent. It really does give excellent volume, and I think like the shape of the wand as well helps to curl your lashes. I mean, look at that one eye done compared to that one eye not done, and there is that all done. So I think you can see again why this mascara is definitely my favorite drugstore mascara. All that's left to do makeup wise is just my lips, and again it was pretty hard to pick like a favorite lipstick that I have, but I picked one that I definitely reach for, I would say, the most out of all of the drugstore ones I've got, and it is this one here from Rimmel. So this is their lasting finish lipstick in the shade Asia, and it just looks like this, just like a nice soft pink lipstick. And I tend to gravitate more towards like nude pink red lipstick than I do, I suppose that's probably like the generic lipstick colours really, but I like this one. It's got a nice formula, it goes on really smoothly, it's not quite matte but it's not quite shimmer. And there we have it on. Again, it was only a few pounds or so. I just find that it leaves my lips feeling really nice and soft. They're like hydrated, it doesn't dry them out or anything, whilst just looking just nice and pretty. So last thing, just to hold it all in place, is my setting spray. And my favourite one for kind of all day use is this MUA Makeup Academy Pro Base Fixing Spray. This is their all day long wear. So there you have it, a full face of makeup using my favourite drugstore makeup brands and makeup items. So just goes to show that you can create quite a nice striking look without really spending an awful lot of money. And also, just because a product is cheaper doesn't necessarily mean that the quality is any less. So I'm really happy with everything. Do let me know if you've tried out any of these products before, or what your favourite drugstore makeup product or brand is. I would really love to know. I really hope that you enjoyed the look as well. But as always, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please do give it a big thumbs up, leave me a comment, and if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you again in my next video.